They say betrayal hurts the most when it comes from the people you trust. I learned that lesson the night I caught my boyfriend in bed with my best friend, inside my own apartment. What happened next changed my life forever. Ruth stood frozen in the doorway of her own bedroom, her homemade birthday cake still in her hands, 27 candles waiting to be lit, pink frosting she'd spent 3 hours perfecting. Her boyfriend Minho was in their bed, with her best friend Sarah. They hadn't heard her come home early from work. The surprise birthday party she'd planned for herself was supposed to start in exactly 1 hour. She'd left her marketing job early, told her boss she had a personal appointment, rushed home to set up decorations, to change into the new dress she'd bought, to make everything perfect for the friends who were coming to celebrate her 27th birthday. Instead, she was standing in her bedroom doorway watching her entire world shatter into pieces. Minho's hands were tangled in Sarah's hair. Sarah's dress, the red one Ruth had helped her pick out just last week at the mall, the one Ruth had said made her look stunning, was crumpled on the floor next to Ruth's side of the bed. The side where she slept every night next to this man she'd been planning a future with. The cake slipped from Ruth's trembling hands and hit the hardwood floor with a sick, wet sound. Chocolate and cream and pink frosting exploding across the wood. 27 candles scattering everywhere. They both turned at the sound. Minho's face went completely white, every drop of color draining away. Ruth. Sarah grabbed the sheet, pulling it up to cover herself, her eyes wide with shock and something that looked horribly like guilt and fear mixed together. Ruth couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't process what her eyes were showing her brain. This couldn't be real. This had to be a nightmare. She'd wake up any second now. This isn't, Minho started. Don't. Ruth's voice came out as a whisper. Don't you dare say this isn't what it looks like. She turned and walked out. Left the apartment. Left the cake smashed on the floor. Left the two people she'd trusted most in the world scrambling for excuses she didn't want to hear. If you want to see how a woman completely destroyed by betrayal finds the strength to rebuild herself, how she makes both of them realize exactly what they lost, and how sometimes the best revenge is becoming the person they never deserved, you need to watch this to the very end. Because Ruth's journey from broken to unbreakable will inspire you. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories about heartbreak and healing. Let's get into the story. Ruth walked for hours through the Seoul streets, completely aimless, her mind replaying the same scene over and over. Through the streets she'd walked with Minho holding hands. Past the cafe where she'd first met Sarah 3 years ago, both of them new to Seoul, both homesick, bonding over being Black women navigating life in Korea. Past the park where Minho had first told her he loved her. Past everything that used to mean safety and love and home. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing in her pocket, vibrating against her hip like a physical assault. Minho. Sarah. Minho. Sarah. Minho calling. Sarah calling. Text messages piling up. Voicemails filling her inbox. 47 missed calls by the time she finally turned the phone completely off, hands shaking as she held down the power button. She ended up at her friend Amara's apartment sometime around midnight, not even sure how she got in there, operating on autopilot. Ruth? What happened? Amara opened the door, took one look at her face and pulled her inside. I caught them. Ruth heard herself say the words. Minho and Sarah. In our bed. On my birthday. Amara's face went through shock, rage, and fierce protectiveness in seconds. I'm going to kill them both. Don't. They're not worth it. Where's your stuff? Still at the apartment. Then we're going back tomorrow when he's at work. You're not going back alone. You're staying here tonight. That night, Ruth lay on Amara's couch and cried until she had nothing left. 3 years with Minho. 3 years of building a life together. 3 years of believing he was the one. And Sarah. Her best friend since they'd both moved to Seoul. The person who'd held her when her father died. Who'd celebrated every win with her. Who'd been her maid of honor at her sister's wedding. Both of them. Together. In her bed. On her birthday. The next morning, Amara went with her back to the apartment to get Ruth's things. Minho was at work like she'd predicted. He had that important client meeting he'd mentioned last week, back when she'd still believed his words meant something. But Sarah was there, sitting on the couch like she had every right to be there, like she hadn't just destroyed everything. Ruth, please, let me explain. Sarah stood up, hands reaching out. Get out of my apartment. It's not what you think. You were in my bed with my boyfriend. What else could it possibly be? What explanation exists that makes this okay? It was a mistake. We were drunk. At 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday? Try again. And don't insult me with lies on top of betrayal. Sarah's face crumpled, mascara from yesterday still smudged under her eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It just happened. Nothing just happened, Sarah. You made choices. He made choices. How long? Ruth's voice was ice. What? How long has this been happening? And don't you dare lie to me again. I'm done with lies. Sarah looked at the floor, unable to meet Ruth's eyes. 6 months. The words hit like a physical blow. 6 months. Half a year. Every girls' night where Sarah had sat across from Ruth asking, how are things with Minho? Every coffee date where she'd given relationship advice. Every time Ruth had confided in her about her fears, her hopes, her dreams of marrying this man. All while Sarah was sleeping with him. All while she was lying to her best friend's face. Get out of my apartment. Ruth. Now. Sarah grabbed her bag and left. Amara locked the door behind her. You okay? Amara asked. No, but I will be. Help me pack his stuff. They packed everything that was Minho's into boxes. 3 years of his life in her apartment, reduced to cardboard boxes stacked by the door. He came home while they were finishing. Ruth, thank God. We need to talk. No, we don't. Your stuff is packed. Take it and leave. I made a mistake. A 6-month mistake? That's not a mistake, Minho. That's a choice. You chose her. Every day for 6 months, you chose to lie to me. I love you. Don't you dare say you love me. You don't betray people you love. It meant nothing with her. Then you're even worse than I thought. You destroyed our relationship and hurt my best friend for nothing? That makes it better. He looked at Amara. Can we have privacy? No, Ruth said. Amara stays. You're the one leaving. Take your boxes. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. Maybe Sarah's place. You two seem comfortable together. Ruth, please. I gave you 3 years, Minho. 3 years of loyalty and love and trust. And you gave me betrayal. We're done. If you're not out in 5 minutes, I'm calling the police. He looked at her like he'd never seen her before. Like he couldn't believe this was happening. Like he was the victim. You're really going to throw away 3 years over one mistake? Ruth laughed, bitter and broken. You threw it away the first time you touched her. I'm just taking out the trash. For minutes. He took his boxes and left. The moment the door closed, Ruth collapsed. Amara caught her, held her while she sobbed. I can't believe this is real, Ruth whispered. I know, but you're going to survive this. You're stronger than both of them combined. The first week was absolute hell. Ruth called in sick to work, using up precious sick days she'd been saving. Couldn't eat more than a few bites without feeling nauseous. Couldn't sleep more than an hour without waking up in tears. Just replayed that moment over and over on an endless loop in her mind, walking into her bedroom with her birthday cake, seeing them together, the cake falling, the look on their faces. Her birthday cake. She'd bought ingredients and spent hours making her own birthday cake because Minho had said he was too busy with work to plan anything. And she dropped it while watching her life explode. The second week, anger hit like a tidal wave. Pure, burning, all-consuming rage. She deleted every single photo of Minho from her phone, 3 years of photos gone in one savage purge. Blocked him on KakaoTalk, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Blocked Sarah too. Took every gift either of them had ever given her and threw it all in the dumpster behind her building. Watched it all disappear. The third week, she forced herself back to work. Everyone could tell something catastrophic had happened. Her eyes were still puffy. She'd lost weight. Her smile never reached her eyes, but she smiled through it anyway. Pretended she was fine. Just a bad cold, she told concerned coworkers. Died a little inside every time someone asked if she was okay. The fourth week, she ran into them. Together. At a restaurant in Gangnam. Minho had his arm around Sarah's shoulders like she was his girlfriend. Like they were a normal couple. Like they had any right to be happy. 1 month. It had been exactly 1 month since she'd caught them destroying her life, and they were already publicly together. Already moved on. Like the 3 years with Ruth had meant nothing. Sarah saw her first. Face going pale. Minho turned, following Sarah's gaze. Ruth could have made a scene. Could have confronted them. Could have let everyone in the restaurant know what kind of people they were. Instead, she held her head high and walked past like they were strangers. But inside, she was screaming. That night, she made a decision. She was tired of crying. Tired of being broken. Tired of letting them have power over her. She was going to rebuild herself into someone so incredible that they'd regret every moment they'd hurt her. She joined a gym. Started going every morning before work. Pushed herself until the physical pain drowned out the emotional pain. She threw herself into her work. Took on extra projects. Stayed late. Made herself invaluable. Got promoted within 2 months. She started therapy. Talked about the betrayal, the trust issues, the pain. Learned to process instead of suppress. She made new friends. Went to meetups. Joined book clubs. Filled her life with people who actually valued her. 3 months after the betrayal, Ruth looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. She'd lost weight from the gym. Gained confidence from therapy. Glowed from finally prioritizing herself. Her boss noticed. "Ruth, you're doing incredible work. We want to send you to our Singapore office for 6 months. It's a huge opportunity. 6 months in Singapore. Away from Seoul. Away from memories. Away from the possibility of running into them. I'll take it." 2 weeks before she was supposed to leave for Singapore, Minho called from an unknown number. "Ruth, please don't hang up." She should have. But curiosity won. "What do you want?" "I made a mistake. The biggest mistake of my life. I'm aware." "Is that all?" "Sarah and I broke up. It wasn't working. I realize now that you're the one I love." Ruth laughed. Actually laughed. "Let me get this straight. You left me for her. It didn't work out. So now you want me back? Like I'm a backup plan." "It's not like that. It's exactly like that. You thought the grass was greener. It wasn't. Now you want to come back to the grass you burned." "No. I love you. You love the idea of me. The me who cooked your favorite meals and laughed at your jokes and made your life easy. But that woman is gone. You and Sarah killed her. What's left is someone who knows her worth. And Minho? You're not worth it. Please, just meet me. Let me explain." "There's nothing to explain. You chose her. Live with it. Don't call me again." She hung up, blocked the number, and felt nothing but relief. The day she left for Singapore, she posted one photo on social media, her at the airport, smiling genuinely for the first time in months. Caption: "New chapter." Sarah commented, "Can we talk?" Ruth deleted the comment and blocked her too. Singapore was exactly what she needed. Completely new city where nobody knew her story. Nobody knew she'd been betrayed. Nobody looked at her with pity. New office with new colleagues who saw her as competent and strong, not broken. New version of herself that she was building from scratch. She absolutely thrived at work. Landed major accounts. Impressed the regional director. Made genuine friendships with people who had no connection to her past. Started dating casually, nothing serious, nothing heavy. Just remembering what it felt like to be valued, to be chosen, to be someone's first choice instead of their backup plan. 6 months in Singapore turned into a year when the office offered her a permanent position. She accepted without hesitation. Why would she go back to Seoul? Back to memories? Back to the possibility of running into them on every street corner? She was building a life she actually loved. A life where she woke up without that sick feeling in her stomach. A life where she didn't have to wonder if the person sleeping next to her was lying about where they'd been. A life where her best friend was actually her friend and not secretly betraying her for half a year. A life without that kind of soul-destroying betrayal. 2 years after walking in on that betrayal, Ruth was visiting Seoul for a major work conference where she was actually one of the keynote speakers. She'd changed so dramatically, shorter natural hair that she wore with confidence, impeccable professional style, and a kind of inner strength that radiated from within and made people take notice when she entered a room. She ran into Minho completely by chance at a coffee shop near her hotel. He looked terrible. Genuinely terrible. Tired bags under his eyes. Older than his years. Defeated posture. Nothing like the confident man she'd once known. Ruth. He said her name like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Minho. She kept her voice carefully neutral, not warm but not hostile either. You look incredible. Seriously, you look amazing. Thank you. How have you been? I heard you were living abroad now. Excellent, actually. Living in Singapore permanently now. Just here for a marketing conference. I'm speaking tomorrow, actually. Singapore? Wow. That's really impressive. I'm genuinely happy for you. She could see he wasn't happy at all. She could see regret written all over his exhausted face, in every line around his eyes. How are you doing? She asked, more out of basic politeness than actual interest. Not great, honestly. Sarah and it didn't work out. Broke up about 8 months ago. Haven't really dated anyone seriously since. Work's been rough, lost a big client. I think about you a lot. About what I lost. About what we could have been. 2 years ago, Ruth would have desperately wanted to hear these exact words. Would have wanted him to suffer. Would have wanted concrete proof that he regretted throwing away what they had. Now, she just felt genuinely sad for him. Not sorry for him. Not wanting him back. Just sad that he'd destroyed something good and was clearly still paying for it. I'm sorry you're struggling, she said, and meant it. But Minho, what you lost wasn't me. You lost a version of me that trusted you. That woman is gone. I'm someone different now. Someone better. Someone who knows that betrayal says everything about the betrayer and nothing about the betrayed. Is there any chance? No, there isn't. That part of my life is closed. I've moved on. You should too. Do you ever think about us? About what we had? Sometimes. But not the way you probably hope. I think about how that betrayal, as devastating as it was, pushed me to become someone I'm actually proud of. Someone who doesn't settle. Someone who knows her worth. So in a weird way, I'm grateful. Grateful. If you hadn't betrayed me, I'd probably still be that woman who made herself small to make you comfortable. Who ignored red flags because she was afraid of being alone. Who thought love meant sacrifice instead of partnership. You breaking me was the best worst thing that ever happened to me. He looked at her like she was speaking another language. I have to go, she said. My conference starts in an hour. Take care of yourself, Minho. She walked away and didn't look back. That night, she got a message from Sarah on LinkedIn. Apparently, Sarah had figured out blocking on social media didn't extend to professional networks. I saw Minho today. He said he ran into you. Ruth, I'm so sorry for everything. I know sorry isn't enough, but I need you to know I regret it every day. I lost my best friend, and for what? A guy who never even loved me? I was so stupid. So selfish. I hate who I was. Ruth stared at the message for a long time. 2 years ago, she would have wanted this apology. Would have needed it. Would have either accepted it tearfully or rejected it angrily. Now, she just felt tired. She typed back, Sarah, I appreciate the apology. I do. And I believe you're sorry. But sorry doesn't undo the damage. You taught me that the people closest to you can hurt you the most. That trust, once broken, doesn't heal, it just scars over. I've moved on with my life. I suggest you do the same. I wish you well, but I don't wish you back in my life. Take care. She hit send and felt the final piece of that chapter close. The betrayal would always be part of her story. The moment she walked in with that birthday cake would always hurt when she thought about it. But it didn't define her anymore. She'd been broken. Shattered into pieces she didn't think could be put back together. But she'd rebuilt herself. Not into who she was before, that woman was gone. Into someone stronger. Someone who knew that survival wasn't just about getting through the pain. It was about using the pain to become someone who could never be broken that way again. That night, lying in bed after everyone had left her birthday party, Ruth thought about that woman she used to be. The one who'd made a homemade birthday cake for herself because her boyfriend was too busy. The one who'd helped her best friend pick out a dress, not knowing Sarah would wear it to seduce her boyfriend. The one who'd walked into her bedroom expecting to set up for a party and instead had her world destroyed. She thought about the weeks of crying, the months of anger, the slow, painful process of learning to trust again. She thought about every small step forward, the first day she didn't cry, the first time she laughed genuinely, the first date after the betrayal, the first time someone new said, "I love you," and she believed them. She thought about how the betrayal had felt like the end of everything. How she'd genuinely believed she'd never recover. How she thought that moment would define the rest of her life. And she thought about how wrong she'd been. Because yes, it had changed her. Yes, it had broken something in her that had needed breaking, the part that accepted less than she deserved, that ignored red flags, that made herself small to make others comfortable. But it hadn't destroyed her. It had just destroyed the version of her that needed destroying so the real Ruth could emerge. 30 years old now. Surrounded by real friends, people who'd proven their loyalty, who'd been there through her healing, who celebrated her wins and supported her through challenges. Celebrating a massive promotion to Regional Director of Marketing. Living in a stunning apartment she'd decorated herself. Living a life she'd built completely from scratch after everything had fallen apart. Someone asked her to make a wish as they brought out the professionally decorated cake, nothing like the homemade one she dropped 3 years ago. She closed her eyes and smiled genuinely. She didn't need to wish for anything. She didn't need to hope for something better. She'd already built everything she needed. Everything she wanted. Everything she deserved. The woman who'd walked into that bedroom with a birthday cake 3 years ago would have never believed this moment was possible. Would have never believed she could be genuinely happy again, confident again, strong again, whole again. But here she was, thriving, glowing, surrounded by love and success and genuine friendship. Not despite the betrayal that had shattered her, but because she'd absolutely refused to let that betrayal be the end of her story. Because she'd chosen to rebuild instead of staying broken. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about heartbreak, betrayal, healing, and finding yourself again after everything falls apart. Drop a comment. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely? How did you heal and move forward? What would you say to your past self in that darkest moment? Share your story below. You're not alone in this journey. Thank you for watching, and remember, being broken isn't the end of your story. Sometimes it's just the brutal but necessary beginning of becoming who you were always meant to be. See you next time.